One Question is brought to you by Turnkey Search, a top industry search firm since 1996.
Johnny Williams is the executive director of the Raycom Media Camellia Bowl down in Montgomery, Alabama. Johnny, you have the prime time slot this year on the first day of the bowl season, December 16th, the 8 p.m. ESPN kickoff. I want to start this conversation by providing some background, and I'm curious for you to provide us some background on in lead up to your all's game. So take me through maybe the 4 months in lead up to the bowl game. Obviously, you have a Sun Belt opponent, a MAC opponent. You've had some really close games the last 3 years. I think 3 games decided by a cumulative 10 points. But how frequently are you guys meeting with your city officials, your convention visitors bureau folks, your tourism folks, and are those becoming more frequent as the bowl nears? Take me through kind of that 3 or 4 month period as you all really start to get hot and heavy from a planning standpoint.
Yes, well, we have a very unique situation in Montgomery, a very positive situation, to say it that way. Mayor Todd Strange, our mayor, we're entering our 4th year of our bowl to be in Montgomery, and we could never have had a better partner than the city of Montgomery, the park board, and the Convention Visitors Bureau, and the Chamber of Commerce. Everybody, even the county commission, everybody's on the same page. They work close together. They've been very supportive of our game. And I guess that comes from probably the history of Montgomery. Montgomery hosted the Blue-Gray game for us over 60 years. They lost that game back in the early, I think 2003 was the last year that they hosted that game. So they were used to working together as a community. So what we do with them, they actually run our game. The park board and the city officials, we meet a little over about 3 times over a 4-month period before the game. We cover bit management meetings where we'll sit down and go over all. For us, they manage our ticket website for us. They handle all of our course concessions, catering at our events. And our stadium is an old stadium, Cramton Bowl, which we have to work a little bit to make it amenable to some high-end hospitality. We bring in tents and build out the stadium to try to create some high-end hospitality. They've been very supportive with us on that. And the mayor, let me say about our mayor, he has a weekly press conference, and he has challenged our city to step up and purchase tickets. And the chamber, we're actually about a month ago launched a program with our chamber that it's called our corporate cheer program, which the chamber's coordinating. We're trying to get the corporate community to buy tickets for all of our youth football kids in our region and the cheerleaders to come to our game. Have been sponsored by someone from the city or from the community to buy the tickets. And so that's one phase. They help us with ticket sales. Our chamber also has a very active role in the hosting of our teams, which we do have the MAC and the Sun Belt. We have a dinner on the teams coming on Tuesday. On Wednesday night, Thursday night, each team is hosted by the chamber and basically the city. A huge barbecue under our train shed, they call it. It's right on the river, right downtown. They bring in entertainment for the players. They're actually involved in actually hosting the team. So you look around the country, there's not a lot of cities that really get so involved with the ticket sales, hosting the team, promoting the game, and actually facilitating the other game, the actual footprint of making the game happen. They actually do pretty much a turnkey event for us. So we are very fortunate in Montgomery to have such a community effort.
And for those who haven't seen Cramton Bowl, I mean, it is a really unique venue. It seems very intimate. The stands on each side are somewhat steep, but I'm sure it makes for a great atmosphere. Is there any added pressure for you guys being that primetime spot on the first day of bowl games?
It's not. We've had, like I said, 3 great games. The first year we had 8:15, then we went to 4:30 both the last 2 years, and then this year going to 8 o'clock. Our community has stepped up. We had a little over 12,000 tickets purchased locally last year. And so the base of support there. And I think the history of our city having had the blue-gray game for all those years and then losing it, there's such a community pride about getting out to the game and making it look the part. Because one thing you don't want when you turn on your game or have your game and that TV camera comes on, there's a lot of empty seats. It's a little, it looks like it's not as important, but our community and in our state too, the state of Alabama is so college football oriented, we believe helps us too. And just a lot of pride around the game from the community. And we're using that as part of our campaign about we are in prime time this year, and to kind of keep the interest of the fans, because it is a marathon. When you do a bowl game, it goes on years. You don't have control a lot of times on the teams, so you have to build the game into a more of a festive atmosphere around the game. We've done that with a fan zone we set up across the street from our stadium, and try to really bring a lot of the business into tailgating and bands and music before the game to make it a social event, irrelevant who the teams are. And yes, you're correct with Cramton Bowl being very unique. It's a very lot of history in that stadium. And when we came up with a tagline for our bowl, our tagline is "History happens here." There's so much history that's happened in Montgomery, from civil rights movement to the Civil War to even sports. And Cramton Bowl was actually the first stadium to actually have lights on it south of the Mason-Dixon. In 1938, had a night football game. And then it transformed from a football stadium over to a baseball stadium. And about 6 years ago, the city invested a little over $30 million into the stadium to modernize it with a 90,000 square foot convention type building on the end that we use during the game. We call it a multiplex that sits right in the end zone, that gives the ability to have a humongous party during, before, and after the game that go along with that, with the stadium. And I have more people around the country that watched the last 3 years. They all come back with the same face. Johnny, the game looks great on TV. You're right. It does set up real well. The stands are close. We have a lot of fans respond back. How the intensity of the game, you seem to be so close to the action in the grandstand. It really is a very enjoyable experience and a unique experience for our fans. So we're very blessed in that with having such a great venue to play in.
Johnny, how are you guys thinking about differentiating your student-athlete experience this year compared to maybe what you've done in the past? What's going to be new for student-athletes who attend this season?
Well, we only have one event with both teams there. We have a luncheon. We've created an event called the Alabama Football Legends Luncheon that we have on Friday before the game. This year we're going to honor Coach Gene Stallings, former coach of University of Alabama, Texas A&M. We're going to honor him. So we'll have that unique experience. But then during the week, we take the teams. One thing we do mandate that each team go to the Rosa Parks Museum, which is actually about 3 blocks from both team hotels. We take them there to show them the history of how the civil rights movement started in Montgomery. It's a very humbling, a very sensitive experience for a lot of our student athletes. It just shows the significance of what Montgomery has played in our history. We also take them to the state capitol where, back in 1861, the Confederate legislature voted to succeed for the United States to start the war. A guy went down the street on Dexter and went into a teletype room and texted to Charleston to bomb Fort Sumter. So there's a lot of history around Montgomery, and we don't shy away from it. We try to bring that to light and use that as part of the student-athlete experience because, as being a former football coach, that's one of the ingredients of a bowl game for football I think is so important. These kids getting to go places they've never been, whether it's to Hawaii to see Pearl Harbor, whether it's to New York to the Pinstripe Bowl to see the Statue of Liberty. It's a unique educational experience. We get so corporately involved with how many tickets you sell and all the wins you have. But at the end of the day, these kids are student athletes. It's part of their learning experience in higher education and being a college student. So, and we try our best to make sure the schools participate. And a couple of times we've actually taken to our Hyundai plant here in town, where we have a humongous assembly plant for Hyundai here, which is a very high-end, high-tech experience for the student athletes. We've done that before. So, and we give the schools a chance to pick and kind of choose what they'd like to do. The only thing we mandate is the Rosa Parks because we just think that's such a significant turning point in American society in general. What happened with the Montgomery bus boycotts. So, so we're very blessed here in Montgomery. We think to have a unique experience for the football players when they come in.
And that's today's One Question, brought to you by Turnkey Search, a top industry search firm since 1996. One Question is designed to give D1 Ticker subscribers valuable insights on how executive leaders in college athletics think about key issues on their respective campuses, in their departments, or within their leagues and conferences. One Question is brought to you by Turnkey Search, a top industry search firm since 1996.